Here's our mink, and this is the inferior vena cava here. And if you look carefully, you can actually see that there is a vessel, a blue vessel that extends from the kidney here to the inferior vena cava. The center part of the C here is called the hilum, or the hilus of the kidney. And you can see that the student in this case did a lateral cut where they were able to open it up, and you can actually see some of the blood vessels inside of there. Very cool perspective. And this one, it's not so easy to see the cortex, so I'm going to show you a separate one. This is the ureter, which extends down to the bladder right here. And again, incision in the bladder, so you can see some of the structures inside of there. You can see inside of there, there's rugae that allow for distension of the bladder when it is very full. And again, this is a really nice model because you can actually still see, I know not a lot of fascia is cleared here, but the advantage that we have is that you can still see the adrenal glands up here above. Well, different animals will give us different advantages in being able to visualize different structures. Up above here, we have a cow kidney, a sheep kidney, and then down at the bottom here, we have that little mink kidney. We're gonna go ahead and open these up. These have already been pre-dissected, so we're gonna go ahead and pop them open. One of the things you'll see in the sheep kidney is a very long ureter. That's helpful to see, that's nice. Pulling out of the hilum there, quite obvious. So if we open these up, I think the best way to actually start is to start up here with the cow kidney. It's larger and shows some of these structures a little bit better. One of the things you'll see is that this was a kidney that already had dye injected into it. They tend to really overfill the dye in these, so it tends to kind of blow out. It's not super helpful. You can see lots of pink and lots of blue in there, but there may be just some difficulty in injecting the ink properly. The outer part of this is going to be the cortex. That's where all those blood vessels are. The inner part is going to be the medulla, and then also renal columns, which are extensions of the cortex. So in the medulla, one of the things that really sticks out is you have these triangular shaped structures. These are called renal pyramids. There's a really nice one over here, a really nice triangle shape, although that one's not dissected very well. Find one that's dissected well. Okay, so here we have one that is dissected really well. You can see the triangular shape. This is called a renal pyramid. And one of the things I want you to note here is all the stripes. All the stripes. These are called collecting ducts. With our sheep kidney, there is no dye injected, so you can see the difference. You can definitely see the cortex and you can see the medulla, but it's not quite as easy to see the delineation between them. But nonetheless, if you look very closely, you will be able to see the collecting ducts. You will be able to see the renal pyramid, the medullary pyramid, and also those stripes, those collecting ducts. In our tiny little mink kidney here, you can see the cortex. You can actually see some really good blood vessels coming in here. And in this case, it's a little harder to see the pyramids, but if you look closely, you will be able to see the stripes. And I think the collecting ducts are kind of one of those things that you should really pay attention to. You should pay attention to them in models. Here's a model of a kidney, and this shows, of course, you know, the ideal structure here would be a very discernible renal pyramid, and here is what we call the renal papilla, which is the tip of the renal pyramid, and then these stripes coming down, the collecting ducts. You can always see the collecting ducts. Here, they've actually taken one out, and they've taken two out, and they've kind of colored them so you can see them. Technically, collecting ducts are, I would say they're considered microscopic, but there's so many of them that you can see them as a collection. Here's another model showing the same. Probably not as good because it's not showing them as nice and numerous, but you can see collecting ducts, renal papilla. And there are spaces here called minor calyx and then major calyx, and then we have the renal pelvis in the center here. And again, our model here, we see the renal pyramid. You see all those stripes called collecting ducts. Here's our largest model probably of a renal pyramid, because that's pretty much what this model is. You can see all the collecting ducts, all those stripes, and again, you can see some of them are painted. You can see in this model that the collecting duct sends urine, basically filtrate that will eventually become urine through the renal papilla. And in this model, you can actually see all the little pores there where it's going to empty into the space here, which is called the minor calyx. This model is kind of cool because it also has several different nephrons, which is the structural and functional unit of the kidney. It has several nephrons that you can see emptying into the collecting duct, and this gives you a realistic perspective. Here we have a nephron with a glomerulus, glomerular capsule, PCT, nephron loop, DCT, and emptying into this collecting duct. And here you have the same thing. You can see that this nephron loop does not dip as far into the medulla, but you can see all these different structures here. These are all going to be glomerular capsules. And here's that closer view of the glomerulus with the glomerular capsule surrounding it. So one of the reasons why I always point out the collecting ducts is because you can always see them, no matter the model or the animal. You can see the collecting ducts. You can always see collecting ducts, and that's really helpful because then you kind of have this running theme that you continue to see all of your collecting ducts, and you kind of remember that one term. At the very least, you'll remember the collecting ducts. This is where your body is going to be deciding about how hydrated you are or how dehydrated you are. At the collecting ducts, you're going to be making decisions about whether you're going to retain or reabsorb water into the body or whether you're going to release it.